Hi aspirants, I am Ritesh Shukla and this video is based on ISRO's timeline. This will be a follow-up chapter from the section of SNT space. This video will mainly emphasize on the milestones which have been achieved by the Indian Space Agency. If you want, you can like and subscribe my page which is Congenial on YouTube. Also you can visit my website which is congenial.co.in. So let's start with the timeline. In 1963, a sounding rocket was launched from TERLS, Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station, which is nearby Thiruvananthapuram, the capital of Kerala. In 1975, ISRO's first Indian satellite was launched. In 1982, INSAT 1A was launched. In 1984, Indo-Soviet manned space mission was launched. In 1993, first developmental PSLV was launched. In 2001, first developmental launch of GSLV D1 was done. In 2008, PSLV C11 launched Chandrayaan N1, which happens to be first launch done for the moon exploration. Now let's proceed from here and know about all the probes, space probes and satellites sent by ISRO until 2017. Now about the recent past year's development which has been done by ISRO, milestones achieved in last 10 years after Chandrayaan 1 success. We just saw the earlier first developments which were done by ISRO. These all are the last 10 years developments. These are space probes and satellites launched, explored till date by ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. Now in 2009, PSLV C12 successfully launched RISAT-2 and ANUSAT from Sriharikota. Sriharikota is in Andhra Pradesh, nearby Pondicherry. PSLV C14 successfully launched 7 satellite, OceanSat-2, 4 CubeSat satellites, 2 Rubin 9 from Sriharikota again. In 2010, GSLV D3 was launched from Sriharikota. GSAT-4 satellite was not able to make it through. Mission was not successful. PSLV C15 successfully launched 5 satellites. Then again, highly adaptable satellite was launched, built by ISRO on a commercial basis in partnership with EADS, Astream of Europe, by Ariane 5 V198 from Kourou, French Guiana, which is in South America. PSLV C15 successfully launches 5 satellites which are Cartosat 2B, ALSAT 2A, 2 nanosatellites, NLS 6.1 and 6.2 and a Pico satellite which is StudSat from Sriharikota again. GSLV F06 was launched from Sriharikota. GSAT 5P was not able to be placed into orbit as the GSLV F06 mission was not successful. In 2011, PSLV C16 was successfully launched. 3 satellites, ResourceSat, YouthSat, XSat were launched from Sriharikota. Successful launch of GSAT 8 by Ariane 5 VA202 from Kourou, French Guiana. PSLV C17 was successfully launched. GSAT 12 from Sriharikota again. PSLV C18 successfully launched Megatropics, Jugnu SRM-SAT and VesselSat from Sriharikota. In 2012, PSLV C19 launched RISAT-1 from Sriharikota. ISRO's polar satellite launch vehicle PSLV C21 successfully launched Spot 6 and Proteus from Sriharikota. GSAT-10 was again successfully launched by Ariane 5 VA209 from Kourou, French Guiana. In 2013, PSLV C20 successfully launched Saral and 6 commercial payloads from Sriharikota. PSLV C22 successfully launched IRNSS-1A from Sriharikota. IRNSS is also known as Navik, which is abbreviated as Navigation for Indian Constellation. Successful launch of INSAT 3D by Ariane 5 VA214 from Kourou, French Guiana was done. Again, successful launch of GSAT-7 by Ariane 5 VA215 from Kourou, French Guiana was done. PSLV C-25 successfully launched Mars Orbiter mission spacecraft from Sriharikota. Again, passing on to 2014, GSLV D5 was launched successfully launched GSAT-14 from Sriharikota. PSLV C-24 successfully launched IRNS, the second satellite in the Navik operations from Sriharikota. PSLV C-23 launched Spot 7, 4 co-passenger satellites, AISAT, NLS 7.1, NLS 7.2 and Velox 1 from Sriharikota. PSLV C-26 launched IRNSS, the third satellite from Sriharikota. Again, GSAT-16 was launched successful by Ariane 5 VA221 from Kourou, French Guiana in 2014. Now the experimental suborbital flight of India's next generation launch vehicle that tested the vehicle for the crucial atmospheric phase of its flight, the CARE module, re-entered the atmosphere and was slowed using parachutes before splashdown in Andaman Sea. In 2015, Polo satellite launch vehicle in its 29th flight, PSLV C-27 launched IRNSS-1D, the fourth satellite of the Indian Regional Navigational Satellite System, as it is called by the ISRO, and the operational name Navik. The Polar satellite launch vehicle in its 30th flight launched 3 identical DMC-3 optical Earth observation satellites built by Surrey Satellite Technology Limited, United Kingdom. Again, GSLV D6, 9th flight of India's geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle. Also the 5th developmental flight of GSLV and third time the indigenously developed cryogenic upper stage is being carried on board during a GSLV flight. PSLV C-30 launched 13 kg AstroSat into the orbit along with AstroSat, 6 satellites from international customers, 76 kg LAPN-A2 of Indonesia, 14 kg NLS-14 of Canada and 4 identical LEMUR satellites of USA, together weighing about 28 kg, were launched in the PSLV flight. GSAT-15, India's latest communication satellite, high-power satellite being inducted into the INSAT-GSAT system. India's Polar satellite launch vehicle in its 32nd flight launched 6 satellites of Singapore into a 550 km circular orbit inclined at 50 degrees to the equator. In 2016, Polar satellite launch vehicle in its 33rd flight, PSLV C-31 launched IRNSS-1E, the 5th satellite of the Indian Regional Navigational Satellite System. Continuously, PSLV C-32, PSLV C-33 launched IRNSS-1G and IRNSS-1F, being the 6th and 7th satellite of the Indian Regional Navigational Satellite System, into a sub-geosynchronous transfer orbit, sub-GTO. All the definitions of the sub-geosynchronous geostationary orbit, LEO, MEO, all the definitions I will be discussing in the end, when this is only for the timeline. Now, reusable launch vehicle technology demonstrator was launched in it is also one of the most technologically challenging endeavors of ISRO towards developing essential technologies for a fully reusable launch vehicle to enable low-cost access to space. RLV-TD was launched. India's Polar satellite launch vehicle in its 36th flight, PSLV C-34, launches 727.5 kg. You don't have to remember all this, only about the significance of the PSLV, which I will be discussing in another video. Cartosat 2 series satellite for Earth observation and 19 co-passenger satellites, together weighing about 560 kg at liftoff into a 505 km polar sun-synchronous orbit, was launched. The first experimental mission of ISRO's scramjet engine toward the realization of an air-breathing propulsion system was successfully conducted. With this flight, critical technologies such as ignition of air-breathing engines at supersonic speed, holding the flame at supersonic speed, air intake mechanism and fuel injection systems have been successfully demonstrated. GSLV F-05 10th flight of India's geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle, launching INSAT 3DR, an advanced weather satellite weighing 2211 kg into geostationary transfer orbit. GSLV designed to inject 2 to 2.5 ton class of satellites into GTO. India's Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle in its 37th PSLV 35 launched the 371 kg SCATSAT for weather-related studies and 7 co-passenger satellites into polar sun-synchronous orbit. Co-passenger satellites ALSAT-1B, ALSAT-2B, ALSAT-1N from Algeria, NLS-19 from Canada and Pathfinder-1 from USA, as well as 2 satellites Pratham from IIT Bombay, PISAT from PES University Bengaluru was launched. India's latest communication satellite GSAT-18 was inducted into the INSAT GSAT system on October 6, 2016 from Kourou, French Guiana by Ariane 5 VA231. Weighing 34 kg 04 kg at liftoff, GSAT-18 carried 48 communication transponder to provide services in normal C-band, upper extended C-band and Q-band of the frequency spectrum. All the band C-band, Q-band will be discussed in a different video, and this is only a timeline, so I will be discussing the definitions in another video. GSAT-18 carries Q-band beacon as well to help in an accurately pointing ground antennas towards the satellite. Now PSLV 3C36, the 38th flight of ISRO's Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, placed 1235 kg ResoSat to an 817 km Polar Sun Synchronous Orbit SSO. PSLV C36 was launched from first launch pad at Satish Dhawan Space Center, which is in Sriharikota. In 2017, there are also significant developments in 2017 by the ISRO. India's Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle in its 39th flight launched a 714 kg Cartosat 2 series satellite for Earth observation and 103 co-passenger satellites together weighing about 663 kg at liftoff into a 505 km Polar Sun synchronous orbit. PSLV C-37 was launched from the first launch pad of Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota. GSLV F-09 launched 2230 kg South Asia satellite GSAT-9 into geosynchronous transfer orbit. GSLV F-09 mission, 11th flight of India's geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle and its 4th consecutive flight with the indigenous cryogenic upper stage dedicated to South Asian countries. GSLV Mark III, a 3-stage heavy lift launch vehicle developed by ISRO. The vehicle has 2 solid strap-ons, a core liquid booster, cryogenic upper stage. GSLV Mark III is designed to carry 4-ton class of satellite into geosynchronous transfer orbit, or about 10 tons to low Earth orbit, which is about twice the capability of GSLV Mark II. So this being the heaviest launch vehicle which has been launched until now by the ISRO. Thank you all for seeing this video. This is only a timeline. I will be discussing more of the technical part of it in different video. Thank you.